Good morning, Evelyn-ites. Mrs. Hackensmith here. Today is April 16th, Thursday. We are getting through almost to the end of our third week of distance learning. You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work. By now, you should definitely have your packets. Everybody picked it up except for one. So hopefully we were able to deliver that packet to that person's house. And now that person can get on the video and do the packets and the reading and the math with us. So excellent job, parents. Good job. So for Thursday, for our reading lesson, we left off in our book, Dinosaurs Before Dark, at a big cliffhanger. I'm going to read where we left off. Even from far away, Jack could see his long, gleaming teeth. Tyrannosaurus Rex, whispered Jack. So, up until now, we met the Pteranodon, we met the Triceratops, and we met the Anatosaurus. And those are all pretty nice plant-eating. I don't know about the Pteranodon. He might eat fish. I don't know. But plant-eating dinosaurs. Until we got to the end of chapter 6, where we came across the T-Rex. You were supposed to think about what you would do if you were with Annie and Jack. I know what I would have done. I would have ran to that treehouse and I would have wished myself back to Pennsylvania. I don't want to meet a Tyrannosaurus Rex. No way. Well, if you were like me, hopefully we made it back to the treehouse safely. I don't think that's what Jack and Annie did, though. So we are going to now finish the book. We're going to read the conclusion of Dinosaurs Before Dark, and we will find out what Jack and Annie did. Okay, so we will take a look at our matrix for the Thursday's reading. It says, watch my video on YouTube to hear the conclusion of Dinosaurs Before Dark, and that's exactly what we're going to do now. When we are done with the book, I would like you to draw a picture of your favorite part. And then if you are able to, upload your picture and make a recording telling about it onto Seesaw. The conclusion of Dinosaurs Before Dark. Chapter 7. Ready, set, go. Run, Annie, run! Cried Jack. To the treehouse! They dashed down the hill together, through the tall grass, through the ferns, past the Pteranodon, and right to the rope ladder. They scrambled up. Seconds later, they tumbled into the treehouse. Annie leaped to the window. He's going away, she said, panting. Jack pushed his glasses into place. He looked through the window with her. All right, so the first part of my prediction was correct, but it's not completely correct. The Tyrannosaurus was wandering off, but then the monster stopped and turned around. Duck, said Jack. The two of them hunched down. After a long moment, they raised their heads. They peeked out again. Coast clear, said Jack. Yay, whispered Annie. We have to get out of here, said Jack. You made a wish before, said Annie. I wish we could go back to Frog Creek, said Jack. Nothing happened. I wish... Wait! You were looking at a picture in the Dinosaur Book, remember? The Dinosaur Book. Jack groaned. Oh, no. I left the book and my pack on the hill. I have to go back. Oh, forget it, said Annie. I can't, said Jack. The book doesn't belong to us. Plus, my notebook's in my pack with all my notes. Hurry, said Annie. Jack hurried down the rope ladder. He leaped to the ground. He raced past the Pteranodon, through the ferns, through the tall grass, and up the hill. He looked down. There was his pack, lying on the ground. On top of it was the Dinosaur Book. But now the valley below was filled with Anatosauruses, all standing guard around the nest. Where had they been? Did fear of the Tyrannosaurus send them home? Jack took a deep breath. Ready, set, go! He charged down the hill. He leaped to his backpack. He scooped it up. He grabbed the Dinosaur Book. A terrible tuba sound. Another. All the Anatosauruses were bellowing at him. Jack took off. He raced up to the hilltop. He started down the hill. He stopped. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was back, and he was standing between Jack and the treehouse. Oh no, what is Jack going to do? Chapter 8, A Giant Shadow. Jack jumped behind the magnolia tree. His heart was beating so fast he could hardly think. He peeked out at the giant monster. The horrible-looking creature was opening and closing his huge jaws. His teeth were as big as steak knives. Don't panic. Think. Jack peered down the valley. Good. The duck-billed dinosaurs were sticking close to their nests. Jack looked back at the Tyrannosaurus. Good. The monster still didn't seem to know he was there. Don't panic. Think. Think. Maybe there's information in the book. Jack opened the Dinosaur Book. He found Tyrannosaurus Rex. He read, remember these are the facts. Tyrannosaurus Rex was the largest man-eating land animal of all time. If it were alive today, it would eat a human in one bite. Oh, great. The book was no help at all. Okay, he couldn't hide on the other side of the hill. The Anatosauruses might stampede. Okay, he couldn't run to the treehouse. The Tyrannosaurus might run faster. Okay, maybe he should just wait. Wait for the monster to leave. Jack peeked around the tree. The Tyrannosaurus had wandered closer to the hill. Ooh, there's that big guy. He looks pretty threatening. He's getting mighty close to Jack. Something caught Jack's eye. Annie was coming down the ladder. Was she nuts? What was she doing? Jack watched Annie hop off the ladder. She went straight to the Pteranodon. She was talking to him. She was flapping her arms. She pointed at Jack, at the sky, at the treehouse. She was nuts. Go back up the tree, Jack whispered. Go. I wonder what Annie's planning to do. Can you make a prediction? Suddenly, Jack heard a roar. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was looking in his direction. Jack hit the ground. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was coming toward the hill. Jack felt the ground shaking. Should he run? Crawl back into Dinosaur Valley? Climb the magnolia tree? Just then, A giant shadow covered Jack. He looked up. Who do you think it is? The Pteranodon was gliding overhead. The giant creature sailed down toward the top of the hill. He was coming straight for Jack. Is that what you predicted? Chapter 9, The Amazing Ride. The Pteranodon coasted down to the ground. He stared at Jack with his bright, alert eyes. What was Jack supposed to do? Climb on? But I'm too heavy, thought Jack. Don't think. Just do it. Remember, those were the words that Annie told him earlier in the story? Jack looked at the Tyrannosaurus. He was starting up the hill. His giant teeth were flashing in the sunlight. Okay, don't think. Just do it. Jack put his book in his pack. Then he eased down onto the Pteranodon's back. He held on tightly. The creature moved forward. He spread out his wings and lifted off the ground. They teetered this way, then that. Jack nearly fell off. The Pteranodon steadied himself, then rose into the sky. Jack looked down. The Tyrannosaurus was chomping the air and staring up at him. The Pteranodon glided away. He sailed over the hilltop. He circled over the valley, over all the nest filled with babies, over all the giant duck-billed dinosaurs. Then the Pteranodon soared out over the plain, over the Triceratops who were grazing in the high grass. It was amazing. It was a miracle. Jack felt like a bird, as light as a feather. There he is. Here comes the T-Rex. The wind was rushing through his hair. The air smelled sweet and fresh. He whooped. He laughed. Jack couldn't believe it. He was riding on the back of an ancient flying reptile. The Pteranodon sailed over the stream, over the ferns and bushes. Then he carried Jack to the base of the oak tree. When they came to a stop, Jack slid off the creature's back and landed on the ground. Then the Pteranodon took off again and glided into the sky. "Bye, Henry," whispered Jack. "Are you okay?" Annie shouted from the treehouse. Jack pushed his glasses into place. He kept staring at the Pteranodon. "Jack, are you okay?" Annie called. Jack looked up at Annie. He smiled. "Thanks for saving my life," he said. "That was really fun." "Climb up," said Annie. Jack tried to stand. His legs were wobbly. He felt a bit dizzy. "Hurry!" shouted Annie. "He's coming!" Jack looked around. The Tyrannosaurus was heading straight toward him. Jack bolted to the ladder. He grabbed the sides and started up. "Hurry! Hurry!" screamed Annie. Jack scrambled into the treehouse. "He's coming toward the tree!" Annie cried. Suddenly, something slammed against the oak tree. The treehouse shook like a leaf. Jack and Annie tumbled into the books. "Make a wish!" cried Annie. "We need the book, the one with the picture of Frog Creek," said Jack. "Where is it?" He pushed some books aside. He had to find that book about Pennsylvania. There it was. He grabbed it and tore through it. looking for the photograph of the Frog Creek woods. He found it. Jack pointed to the picture. "I wish we could go home," he shouted. The wind began to moan, softly at first. "Hurry!" Jack yelled. The wind picked up. It was whistling now. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Jack closed his eyes. He held on tightly to Annie. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10. Home Before Dark. A bird began to sing. Jack opened his eyes. He was still pointing at the picture of the Frog Creek woods. He peeked out the treehouse window. Outside he saw the exact same view. "We're home," whispered Annie. The woods were lit with a golden late afternoon light. The sun was about to set. No time had passed since they left. "Jack! Annie!" a voice called from the distance. "That's Mom," said Annie, pointing. Jack saw their mother far away. She was standing in front of their house. She looked very tiny. "Annie! Jack!" she called. Annie stuck her head out the window and shouted, "Coming!" Jack still felt dazed. He just stared at Annie. "What happened to us?" he said. "We took a trip in a magic treehouse," said Annie simply. "But it's the same time as when we left," said Jack. Annie shrugged. "And how did it take us so far away?" said Jack. "And so long ago?" "You just looked at a book and said you wished you could go there," said Annie. "And the magic treehouse took us there." "But how?" said Jack. "And who built this magic treehouse? Who put all these books here?" "A magic person, I guess," said Annie. "A magic person? Oh, look," said Jack. "I almost forgot about this." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the gold medallion. "Someone lost this back there in Dinosaur Land. Look, there's a letter M on it." Annie's eyes got round. "You think M stands for magic person?" she said. "I don't know," said Jack. "I just know someone went to that place before us." "Jack! Annie!" came the distant cry again. Annie poked her head out of the window. "Coming!" she shouted. Jack put the gold medallion back in his pocket. He pulled the Dinosaur Book out of his pack and put it back with all the other books. Then he and Annie took one last look around the treehouse. "Goodbye, house," whispered Annie. Jack slung his backpack over his shoulder. He pointed at the ladder. Annie started down. Jack followed. Seconds later, they hopped onto the ground and started walking out of the woods. "No one's going to believe our story," said Jack. "So let's not tell anyone," said Annie. "Dad won't believe it," said Jack. "He'll say it was a dream," said Annie. "Mom won't believe it," said Jack. "She'll say it was pretend." "My teacher won't believe it," said Jack. "She'll say you're nuts," said Annie. "We better not tell anyone," said Jack. "I already said that," said Annie. Jack sighed. "I think I'm starting to not believe it myself," he said. They left the woods and started up the road toward their house. As they walked past all the houses on their street, the trip to Dinosaur Time did seem more and more like a dream. Only this world and this time seemed real. Jack reached into his pocket. He clasped the gold medallion. He felt the engraving of the letter M. It made Jack's fingers tingle. Jack laughed. Suddenly he felt very happy. He couldn't explain what had happened today, but he knew for sure that their trip on the magic treehouse had been real. Absolutely real. Tomorrow, Jack said softly, we'll go back to the woods. Of course, said Annie. And we'll climb up to the treehouse, said Jack. Of course, said Annie. And we'll see what happens next, said Jack. Of course, said Annie. Race you! And they took off together, running for home. And that's the end of our Dinosaurs Before Dark book. So take a look at the cover here. It says Magic Treehouse number 1. This is a series of books that Mary Pope Osborne has written. And this is the very first book that she wrote in the series to introduce you to Jack and Annie. The book that we're going to read next week is another one of these books. I believe it's number 11. And we're going to go with Jack and Annie on another adventure. I can't wait to see what happens. Don't forget to draw a picture of your favorite part of the book and then upload the picture to Seesaw and explain to me what you wrote and why that was your favorite part. Now it is time for math. Yesterday we did the independent practices number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I would like to go over the answers to those. So I have filled in my graph to look like the tally graph up here. So milk we have 3, apple juice 2, water is 4, and lemonade is 4. This graph uses tallies. This one uses pictures, but they give us the same information. The next graph we were supposed to do was about your favorite sport. We had baseball, basketball, soccer, and football. We're going to take this tally chart and turn it into a picture chart over here. So we have the same sports. Baseball had 3, so we made 3 pictures. Basketball had 4, so we made 4 pictures over here. Soccer had 2, so we made 2 pictures. And football had 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this chart and this chart gives us the exact information. They're just using tallies and pictures to display that information. So this is what your chart should look like. Turn your paper over. We had the brain builders here. Okay, so Lillian asked 10 people their favorite flower. 1 person said tulip. 5 people said roses. The same number of people said daisies, but we did not know how many people liked daisies and carnations. So what you had to do is you had to take the number of people surveyed, which was 10, subtract the 6 votes from the roses and the tulips, and that left you with 4 more votes needed. Now, if the same number of people said daisies and carnations, that makes 2 for daisies and 2 for carnations. If you add up all your votes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you get the original 10 people who voted in your survey. So the answer was 2 daisies and 2 carnations. This is how your graph should have looked. Okay, number 9. A school asked 15 students their favorite subjects. 3 students said science, so we filled in 3. 3 said reading, so we filled in 3 for reading. 1 less person said art than math. 1 less person said art than math. Oh, Mrs. Hackensmith has it goofed up. Good thing Mrs. Hackensmith is reading this over. 1 less person said art than math. All right, so I'm going to correct my answer here. All right, so we had our 15 students. We had 6 people that voted for science and reading. So 15 minus 6 votes leaves us with 9 votes. 1 less person said art. So art is going to have 1 less than math. I know that 4 plus 5 equals 9. So if I give 5 votes to math and 4 votes to art, that gives us 9 votes. And 1 less person liked art than did math. So more people liked math. So let's see if we've got them all. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We have our total 15 people who voted. So you should have 5 votes for math, 3 votes for science, 3 votes for reading, and 4 votes for art. So yours should look like mine. All right. Explain how picture graphs can be more helpful than tally charts. Is your answer something like mine? I said it was easier to count the pictures than the tallies. It's easy to look at these pictures and see that that one is the most and that these are the least. It's just a little easier than actually looking at the tallies and having to count the tallies. All right, good job on your math. Now, today's math tells us, let me get the matrix out here. Do guided practice numbers 1 through 3 on page 542 of your math packet. Tell a family member your answer to the talk math question. All right, so we're going to first of all do 541 together. 541, math in my world. And again, we are looking at how we can record and analyze data. So far, we've talked about using tally marks and using pictures. Today, we're going to do another picture graph here. Here are the teacher directions. Use the data in the picture graph. Write the number of votes for each dinner. Write the least favorite dinner. So, pretty easy. All we have to do is count the number of pictures. So our title is Favorite Dinner. How many people liked spaghetti? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just going to put a 4 over here on the line. How many people liked tacos? 1, 2, 3, 4. So far we have a tie. How many people liked chicken? 1, 2. And how many people liked meatloaf? Just 1. This is probably the way it would be in my family too. My family would rather have pasta or tacos than chicken, and especially more than meatloaf. I think I'm the only one who likes meatloaf. Alrighty. Now we're going to take a look at our data and we're going to analyze it. It says which dinner is the least favorite? So which dinner had the smallest number of people who liked it? Well, it's real easy to see here that meatloaf is the least favorite. And that's how it is in my family too. Alrighty, turn your paper over and let's take a look at the top here for our guided practice. It says you can use a picture graph to answer questions. What pet is the favorite? So let's look at our picture graph here. Our title is Favorite Pet. We have fish, dog, cat. And look at the key. each animal picture stands for 1 vote. So I think we can just tell, even just by looking at it. We don't even have to count anything. We just see which one has the most pictures. So what pet is the favorite? The fish. So we are going to trace the word fish here on this line. And it says, how many votes does each picture show? Now this is where we have to look at our key. Each animal picture equals 1 vote. So each picture stands for 1 vote. Alrighty. Now, we're going to use the data from this graph to answer these questions. This graph is called Favorite Summer Activity. We have swim, bike ride, inline skate, and play baseball. Look at our key. Each picture equals 1 vote. So what activity is liked the least? We don't even have to count them. We can just look at these pictures. Which one has the least amount of pictures? Yes, inline skating only has 2, and that is the least. So inline skate is the activity that is liked the least. Go ahead and fill in that line. Inline skate. You should be able to spell the word correctly because it is right there on your graph. No reason to spell it wrong. When you're ready to move on, take a look at number 2. Which 2 activities have the same number of votes? Well, swim is clear over here. They don't match up. Let's see. These here match up. So bike ride and play baseball have the same number of votes. So I'm going to write bike ride and play baseball. And they each have 3 votes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. They match up. No extras. Alrighty. Make sure you're spelling it correctly. The words are right there. Number 3 says, how many people like to swim and play baseball in all? All right, well, here's our words. In all. In all tells you you are going to, that's right, you're going to add. So we're going to look at the people who swim and play baseball. Let's go back up to our chart. Swim, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who like swimming. And play baseball is down here. 1, 2, 3. And then in all tells us we're going to add. So 5 plus 3, we know that that is 8. So how many people like to swim and play baseball in all? 8. And what's our label? People. 8 people like to swim and play baseball. Alrighty, now it's your turn. Talk math. How would you count the votes for bike riding if each picture stood for 2 votes? So if we were to go up here to our graph and we were to change this to a 2, how would you count on the graph if each picture stood for 2 votes? Take your paper with you, find an adult in your family, and explain to them how you would count those votes. And we'll talk about the answer tomorrow. That's all I have for you today, boys and girls. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.